Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is a very interesting overnighter out on a frozen ice lake bed. As you guys can see, I've got the setup already ready to go. I've got my ground sheet, my inflatable insulated pad, my super warm down sleeping bag, and I even brought a wood stove. Now we're going to talk about why I brought a wood stove in just a little bit, because I do have to still get some of my cooking gear set up and get arranged a little bit more. But this is going to be the setup for tonight. It is going to be an awesome time out here. So let's get a little bit more work done, and then I'll explain the wood stove situation. All right, so judging by the wind's direction, it is traveling that way. And obviously I don't want any embers coming out of the smokestack landing on my air pad or my down sleeping bag. So I positioned it on the other side, so any breeze or any gust of wind should blow the embers that way, and we should be good. So one thing I like to do when I'm camping out on the ice is I like to shovel the snow all the way around. That way I can monitor the ice. I can see the cracks where they're forming and get an idea of what's happening, and then identify, is it dangerous? Do I need to move, or am I okay to stay here? So I'm gonna shovel out all around this side as well. And I have to get wood underneath of the wood stove to elevate it to protect the ice. So that's the main reason why I brought the wood stove. I could do a campfire on top of the lake bed, which I have done in the past, just elevated on logs, but then I still have to worry about embers spitting and popping all over the place. There's smoke everywhere. It's not only that, it's just an inefficient way to burn wood, and it's an inefficient way to cook. At least this way with the wood stove, it's contained to a box. I can crank up the stove or I can damp it down, and I've got a nice little platform to cook on top of. I certainly do not need it for warmth. That's why I brought a suitable sleeping bag and a pad and clothing. So I'm going to be totally fine and warm. This is just here for cooking, maybe drying out some clothing if I can hang my gloves next to it on a stick, all kinds of uses, but mainly it's to protect the ice. So I do need to shovel out this area, get some firewood underneath of there, prop it up, and then I'll continue stacking all my firewood beside it. And if it does get windy, see, here's the tricky part. If it does get windy, I do not have guy lines with me today. Now, obviously, I'm not going to burn it all night long, so I'll let it burn out. Later on this evening, what I'll do is I'll pull the pipe off and I'll lay it down next to me, put my backpack on top of it just to protect it if it does get windy. But if it does get really windy to the point where it's uncomfortable, I can use my shovel to build a wall around this way to protect from the oncoming wind. I don't anticipate it getting that bad. It should be okay just the way it is. So let's carry on shoveling this out, and then it's going to be time to go collect firewood. Alright, so it is getting noticeably colder out right now. It's probably at about -2 to -3 degrees Celsius, which realistically is not cold at all. And that's the biggest reason why I wanted to add the logs underneath of the stove. Now, looking around my sleeping area, there are some cracks in the ice, and I should probably mention that I don't know how thick the ice is yet. I haven't cut into it. Walking out here, it held my weight. Realistically, I'm in probably maybe chest deep water right here, so it's not that big of a deal, but I'm going to be watching the ice very carefully. The temperature is starting to come down though, so now that kind of eases my worries a little bit. I'm going to wait for this to come to a boil, and later on I'm going to have to break through the ice somewhere to collect more water, because I only brought 1 bottle of water with me, and generally I like bringing 1 bottle of water just in case something goes south. You know, just in case plans don't go well, I have enough water to stay hydrated, and that's bonus to have that. So I also took off my down jacket. So one thing I like to do when I'm working with fire or stoves is remove my down jacket, because around the cuff area you will eventually burn it going in and out of the stove. So I like taking it off back to the wool. I don't have to worry about burning it. And yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. So I gotta say, this is absolutely incredible. We got some nice moody dramatic clouds in the sky, which I think later on this evening is really gonna pop right before it sunsets, or at least gets nightfall. I think the sky is gonna really pop. It's gonna be right moody and dramatic. So a nice little glow from the stove will be awesome as well. So like I said, I'm gonna let that come up to temperature. It's almost there, and then I'm gonna make up a hot coffee, sit down and relax for a few minutes, guys. All right, guys, got a hot cup of coffee on the go right now, and it is absolutely perfect out right now. It is about -3 degrees Celsius. I just walked out on the ice a little ways, and if you guys recognize this location, last winter around this time of the year, I slept exactly right where I'm sitting right now with a backpacking tent. So no stove, no hot tent, and I actually had a fire on the ice just behind me. I ventured out to that rock and I sat on top of it, had a coffee. It was a beautiful time. Woke up in the morning, and off in that direction it was fiery orange and pink sunrise. It was absolutely incredible. So I'm going to link that video down in the video description if you guys want to navigate your way there to check out that adventure. Definitely enjoyable. But for now, I do have some hot coffee I want to finish up. the stove is going really well right now, and I will mention that I did find out the thickness of the ice, and I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you how thick it is because it's actually how thin it is. That's the terminology I should use. When I was pouring my coffee, just right in front of my feet, the kettle actually melted down into the snow, and when it melted, it clarified the ice so I could see through it. It's not very thick. I'll just leave it at that. But it is getting down to freezing temperatures. It's going to continue to get colder, so I'm not worried about it. I'm dispersed and it's holding my weight. One thing is, when I was betoning wood, I know a lot of people were probably biting their fingernails on the edge of their seat going, oh, he's going to crack the ice. The ice never cracked, and that was my first sign that it was totally safe to actually camp on and be here, because applying that much force to about a 1-inch surface area should have cracked the ice. It didn't crack it, and it is getting colder, so no worries there. I am totally comfortable with what I'm doing. I don't recommend anybody copy what I'm doing, though. That's kind of the message I'm trying to say. I do what I do, you guys do what you do, and that's basically how we're going to do it. So the stove is ripping right now. I'm going to finish up my coffee, and then I do have my supper buried in the snow. So if you guys caught that at the beginning of the video, I did bury something in the snow. It's actually a piece of chicken breast. So it's a large chicken breast. I got to get that into my frying pan and get that on top of the stove in a little bit, and that's how I'm going to be cooking. And I want to do all that before dark because I want to lounge right here in this beautiful atmosphere and just enjoy it without doing any work. So I'm going to finish up my coffee and then start on supper. All right, guys, supper time is all over and it is actually starting to snow right now. So this is something that I did not actually think was going to happen today. Fingers crossed we get a whole bunch. That would be awesome. And if you guys look up in the sky, here comes the color. This is exactly what happened last time I camped here in the wintertime. Nice, beautiful ripple of color up in the sky just before dark. Nice light bit of snow. This is definitely a magical feeling being out here, especially on the ice. So I'm going to turn around, sit down on my pad, and I'm going to enjoy the scenery, guys. Well, I think our light show in the sky is just about over with. That means it is going to start getting cold as night sets in. So I'm actually looking forward to this quite a bit. It's been hot, like moving around with a sweater on and a hoodie on, kind of work up the sweat doing all the camp tasks. But once I finally settle in, it's really nice to just kind of relax and just mellow out. Nice, crisp, cool air really does help too. So this will start glowing in the night. Hopefully I'll be able to kind of see what's going on out here from laying inside of the sleeping bag. I'm not going to burn it all night, obviously, because I don't need to. The only thing that I need it for right now is just to keep my hands warm aesthetically. It's pleasing. And if I do want to make a hot drink, it's already going. But I do need to save some of this wood supply. So I've got a bunch of wood on the other side of the stove that I'm going to save for morning time. And basically all I need that for is just to bring a kettle up to temperature to make coffee or oatmeal, whatever I feel like doing, because this is the only source of cooking that I have with me. I didn't bring a canister stove or anything like that, so this is the only way. So I do have to save some wood. I've got some birch bark placed inside of a stuffed sack underneath my backpack as well, and my matches in my pocket, so everything's squared away for tomorrow morning. I've done a little bit of a cleanup. I do have to put my saw away. I wasn't sure if I was going to cut some more firewood or not, but I've decided I'm not going to cut any more wood, so I do need to get that stowed away just in case it snows overnight. But nightfall is definitely setting in right now, guys, and I can tell you the heat is rolling out of that stove, even just sitting here. Underneath, it is melting the ice very, very slightly, where it is elevated quite a bit, but now that we're getting into night air is going to start settling in, I don't think it's going to melt anymore. So just a little update for you guys. I'm going to continue straightening everything up, and then I'm going to start relaxing for the entire evening right out here on this frozen lake bed. All right, guys, well, it's just about time to crawl in, and it is getting very noticeably cold out. The stove is basically burned out, and I'm starting to get quite chilled. So instead of sitting out here freezing, I'm going to lay inside of here and just relax for a little bit. I won't be going to bed just yet, and there's no stars in the sky, unfortunately. It's all cloud covered, but I'm just going to relax for a little bit inside and then eventually doze off for sleep. So what I've got waiting inside, I have my down jacket, I have a pair of down pants, new socks, and base layer pants. So that means all of this needs to come off. Now, I don't get changed outside whenever I camp without a tent. I actually get changed inside the sleeping bag. It's quite a little bit of a squirming match. I gotta these pants off, new pants on, all that stuff, but it all gets done inside. Sometimes it's difficult, but it works. So I'm going to be getting all this off. I'm going to take my wool sweater off, put it inside of my sleeping bag up towards the head as a pillow, and that's basically it, guys. Boots are going to get tucked underneath. I'm going to put the tops of my boots towards my sleeping pad, and then I'm going to drape this ground sheet over top to keep them dry, just in case. Everything else is squared away, put inside of my backpack, and everything looks good for the night. So if it does snow, I won't lose anything in the snow come morning time. So I'm going to do the deed, guys, which means the camera needs to get packed away because I'm not jumping out again. So good night, guys, and I'll see you first thing in the morning. Well, good morning, guys. It is absolutely incredibly beautiful out here this morning. So I woke up really early this morning. It was still dark out, and I could feel a few snowflakes making their way through the hole of my sleeping bag right on the tip of my nose, and I knew right away it was snow. So I got up and I did a little bit of a bathroom break. I walked over to the tree line, took a pee, came back, and just kind of reassessed the area. Everything looked fine, so I crawled back in and I went back to sleep. For probably about an hour, I was kind of pushing snow off me because it was actually coming down quite heavy at one point, and then it let up. And as you guys can see right now, it's basically just really fine flurries. It's not that cold. It's about -2 degrees Celsius, so very fine flurries. I'm not sure if it's going to warm up today or not, so hopefully this does not turn to rain because that would be horrible. I'm already working on my coffee, so beautiful hot cup of coffee out here. And I got to tell you guys, waking up in this kind of fashion, out on a frozen lake by yourself, fresh snowfall all around, the trees are just white. Absolutely incredible. So I'm going to sit back and enjoy my coffee for a little bit, and I'm going to skip breakfast out here. I'm not going to cook anything on the stove. I'm actually just going to eat some protein bars on the way out hiking, so I do want to get this take down rather quickly. So that's the last bit of wood I'm going to put in there, and let it do its thing, let it burn out, cool down, and then we'll pack it away. But right now, it's coffee time, guys. Alright, so for the wood stove, it is basically burned out right now. I do have a pair of leather gloves with me. I don't want to dump out all the coals and ashes on top of the lake, so I'm going to take the pipe off, and just off to the distance here on the shoreline there is a campfire situated, or a little campfire ring. So I'm going to dump all the coals out in that established campfire area, which means I'm just going to grab all this stuff, backpack, stove with the gloves, and make my way over towards the shoreline to dump it out. So I'll see you guys over there. Alright, so now that I've got the stove dumped out, that'll just take probably about 5 minutes to cool down. Where it is titanium and it's rather cold out, it cools down very, very quickly. One thing I will add is if you do have stoves with glass, just be careful you don't put the glass down in the snow while it's still hot. For obvious reasons, it probably will damage it, so just keep it out of the snow. That's fairly common with most things that are glass, but that'll cool down rather quickly, and then I'll be able to pack it away. I did bring the storage bag. And the purpose for bringing the storage bag on this trip, as I usually don't bring it, is because this guy has got to go in the front window of my backpack. So I'm going to roll the top down, click it in, and then I'm going to unzip the window, cram the stove on top of my sleeping bag, and I don't want any of these sharp edges tearing into my sleeping bag. So that's the reason why I brought the storage sack, and that'll basically be it for a pack up. So this is as far as we go, guys. While I'm packing this up, I'm going to pack the camera away. And I think I deserve 2 protein bars on the way out. So I'm going to be snacking on some Clif bars. And that's basically it. So I want to thank you guys for joining me on this adventure. Comments and questions down below. And thank you very much. I'll see you in the next one.